Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today is just another Wednesday, but honestly, after watching the latest General Hospital episode, my heart is still pounding completely out of my chest. Grab a snack, get a drink, and sit down because we have a lot of heavy emotional baggage to unpack today. Let's dive right into the absolute madness of Port Charles. I cannot believe they actually went there. I mean, I am sitting here in the dark, furiously typing this out at 2 a.m. because my brain is just spinning and I physically cannot sleep. Did we all just watch the same episode? Please tell me I am not hallucinating because my hands are literally shaking right now. My jaw unhinged and hit the floor during those final 10 minutes. I knew things were getting incredibly bad over at Windermere. I knew Ross Cullum was a complete psychopath who was losing his grip on reality, but I did not expect that specific reaction from Carly Spencer. And I definitely, in a million years, did not expect her to go to Sonny Corinthos like that. I've been watching this show religiously since 2015, and I have seen Carly do some wild, desperate, boundary-pushing things to protect her kids. But this was a completely different level of desperation. Let's just pause and talk about the sheer magnitude of Carly getting on her knees. Because if you know Carly Spencer, you know she does not bow to anyone. Ever. She will fight tooth and nail, she will scream in your face, she will scheme behind your back, she will manipulate the entire town, but she does not beg. But when she realized that Jocelyn is trapped at Windermere, with Ross Cullum holding a literal death threat over her head, all of that signature Spencer pride just evaporated. Poof. Gone. Seeing her crumble in front of Sonny was honestly one of the most heartbreaking things I have ever witnessed on daytime television. She was crying so hard she could barely breathe, her voice was cracking, and she just looked so incredibly small and defeated. It felt so raw and real that I felt like I was intruding on a deeply private moment. Am I the only one who was crying with her? Because I was a total blubbering mess on my couch. And then came the confession. Oh my god, the confession! Carly just let it all out, and I was screaming at my screen. She admitted she was wrong. Carly Spencer admitted she was wrong. Do you know how rare that is in the history of this show? She looked Sonny dead in the eye, tears streaming down her face, and confessed that she messed up by hiding so many massive secrets. She hid Valentine Cassadine in her attic for months. She knew Jocelyn was secretly a WSB agent. She kept all of this from Sonny, thinking she could handle it, thinking she was protecting everyone from the fallout. But she wasn't. And hearing her vocalize that failure, hearing her take ownership of the fact that her secrets directly led to Jocelyn being in Cullum's crosshairs, it was incredibly powerful. I mean, I have been so frustrated with Carly lately for keeping all these secrets. I've literally yelled at my TV, just tell someone the truth. But seeing her realize the catastrophic consequences of her actions completely validated all my frustration while simultaneously making me feel so incredibly sorry for her. So she is on her knees, sobbing, and she begs Sonny to put aside all their personal bad blood. And let's be real, there is a mountain of bad blood there right now. Sonny has been furious with her, especially after finding out about her sleeping with Valentine. He even had Brick trying to upend her life and ruin her romance. But Carly didn't care about any of that pride or anger anymore. She basically told him, hate me, punish me, do whatever you want to me, but please save our daughter. She knows that the WSB is involved. She knows Cullum has all the resources of a global intelligence agency at his fingertips. The Port Charles police can't help. The law can't help. The only thing that can match the ruthless, unchecked power of a dirty WSB director is the brutal, underground power of Sonny Corinthos. She begged him to use his mob network, his enforcers, his absolute terror-inducing reputation to rip Windermere apart and get Jocelyn back. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's think about this logically for a second. Is it actually a good idea to send a local mob boss against a highly trained international spy agency? Probably not. I mean, Cullum has tactical teams, he has cold fusion tech, he has international backing, but then again, this is Sonny Corinthos we are talking about. Sonny doesn't play by international rules. Sonny plays by Port Charles rules, which means he will just kick the door down and start shooting. And honestly, I am completely here for it. I know some people are loving the whole sophisticated spy thriller aspect of this storyline, but personally, I am ready for some old school mob justice. Cullum has been so smug, torturing Britt, kidnapping Liesel, threatening Jocelyn. He needs to be taken down by someone who doesn't care about badges or jurisdictions. He needs the wrath of a father who has nothing to lose. But let's talk about Sonny's reaction, because Maurice Bernard deserves an Emmy for the micro-expressions happening on his face during this scene. You could see the exact moment his heart broke. He has been so cold to Carly recently, so defensive and territorial about his business and his life, but when she dropped to her knees, you could see the hardened mob boss exterior just fracture into a million pieces. He saw the complete and utter brokenness in the eyes of the woman he has loved, hated, married, and divorced a million times. You could see the history flashing between them in total silence. He realized in that split second that this wasn't a manipulation. This wasn't Carly trying to play him for a fool. This was a mother terrified that her child was going to be murdered. And you could see the protective, lethal instinct waking up inside him. The way his jaw clenched, chills. Literal chills all over my body. But here is the catch, and this is why I am so stressed out I can barely function. Sonny knows that going after Cullum isn't just a simple rescue mission. Cullum is deeply tied up with Jen Sidwell. Sidwell is already a massive, violent threat in the criminal underworld. He just ambushed Willow at her house. He held Lucas at gunpoint. He is an absolute menace who wants to watch the world burn. Sonny knows that if he unleashes his organization to hit Windermere and take out a WSB director, he is essentially declaring a massive, bloody war. A war that will immediately pull Sidwell into the crossfire. It's going to be an absolute bloodbath. Sonny was standing there, looking down at Carly, and you could see him calculating the terrible cost. If he does this, Port Charles is going to run red. People are going to die. Justine Turner's life is already at stake. But what choice does he have? It's Jocelyn. And let's not forget about Jocelyn in all of this. My poor girl is stuck in that creepy Windermere prison cell with Liesl Obrecht, entirely unaware that her mother is currently trading her soul to the mob to save her. Jocelyn has been so defiant, arguing with Cassius Faison, refusing to back down even when Cullum ordered Cassius to kill her. She is so brave, but she is completely out of her depth here. The Cold Fusion project is reaching its climax, Cullum is spiraling out of control, and Jocelyn is just a loose end to them now. If Sonny doesn't act fast, they are going to eliminate her without a second thought. I am so terrified for her, but I also desperately want to see the look on Cullum's face when Sonny Corinthos kicks down the heavy wooden doors of Windermere with an army behind him. I just keep thinking about the history of Carly and Sonny. Remember when they tried to stay away from each other for the sake of the kids? Yeah, didn't work then either. They're toxic, they're messy, they destroy each other, but when it comes to their family, they are an absolute force of nature that cannot be stopped. This scene reminded me of the classic GH episodes from the early 2000s, where the stakes were life and death and the emotional intensity was off the charts. We haven't seen this kind of raw, unfiltered vulnerability from Carly in years. Usually, she is the one running off half-cocked, trying to solve the problem herself, breaking into places she shouldn't be. The fact that she realized she couldn't fix this, that she had to surrender control to Sonny, it's a huge character development moment. It shows that her love for Jocelyn completely overrides her need to be the one in charge. Because, let's look at what pushed Carly to this breaking point. The WSB literally raided her house. Cullum stood in her living room, looking for Valentine, and Carly had to stand there and play dumb while knowing her daughter was missing. She has been pushed to the absolute brink of human endurance. She tried to handle the Valentine situation, she tried to handle the Brennan situation, and it all blew up in her face in the worst possible way. The guilt she must be feeling right now has to be suffocating her. She probably feels like it is entirely her fault that Jocelyn is in danger. If she hadn't hidden Valentine, maybe Cullum wouldn't have targeted them. If she hadn't kept Jocelyn's WSB status a secret, maybe they could have protected her better. That guilt is what drove her to her knees. She is begging Sonny for a bailout, not just for Jocelyn, but for her own soul. And Sonny, oh man, Sonny is in such a tough spot. He has been trying to solidify his territory, he has been dealing with Ava, he has been strategizing with Rick Lansing, and now, suddenly, his ex-wife is sobbing on his floor, asking him to start World War III. He knows that if he goes after Sidwell and Cullum, the collateral damage is going to be immense. Innocent people might get caught in the crossfire, but he also knows he can't say no. He loves Jocelyn like his own daughter. He practically raised her. There is no reality where Sonny Corinthos sits back and lets some rogue WSB agent murder a child under his protection. The hesitation we saw wasn't about whether he would help. It was about him realizing that once he says yes, there is no going back. The violence that is about to hit Port Charles is going to be unprecedented. Okay, back to the point. What is going to happen next? I am predicting that Sonny is going to call Brick immediately. He is going to pull every single enforcer he has. We are going to see a full-scale tactical assault on Spoon Island. I am here for it. But I am also dreading the fallout. Because Once the dust settles, what happens to Carly and Sonny? Does this bring them back together? I know some people are loving the idea of a Carson reunion, but personally, I think this is going to break them even more. Sonny is going to resent Carly for putting them in this position with her secrets, and Carly is going to have to live with the guilt of the blood that is about to be spilled. It's a tragic, beautiful mess, and I cannot look away for a single second. And where is Valentine in all of this? He is off in Geneva, meeting with Z, trying to expose Cullum, completely unaware that Carly has basically unleashed the Kraken back home. If Valentine manages to get Z to call off Cullum, it might be too late. Sonny's men might already be shooting up Windermere. Imagine the absolute chaos if the WSB tactical teams arrive at the exact same time as Sonny's mob enforcers. It would be an absolute bloodbath of epic proportions. I am so stressed just thinking about it. Carly probably should have waited for Valentine to handle it through official channels, but honestly, I don't blame her for not waiting. When your kid's life is on the line, you don't wait for bureaucracy. You go to the guy with the guns. I just have to applaud the writers for this episode. I complain about the writing on this show a lot, but they absolutely nailed the emotional stakes here. Having Carly break down and admit her flaws is such a refreshing change of pace. We are finally seeing the real, devastating consequences of her actions catching up to her. And putting Sonny in the position of the reluctant savior who has to embrace his darkest, most violent tendencies to save his family? It is classic, top-tier soap opera storytelling. It reminds me exactly why I fell in love with this show in the first place. The acting, the dialogue, the tension. It was all perfection. I need to go drink some water and try to calm down because my adrenaline is still spiking. This storyline is officially the best thing on daytime TV right now. What did you guys think of that scene? Were you crying as hard as I was? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I desperately need to know I am not the only one losing my mind.